Fuck it. Let's get this over with. Today we're going to be revisiting everyone's favorite simp. I apologize in advance because this is going to be a long video, but I feel that this is the best way to truly explain my points and display the nature of the biggest and most pathetic VTuber simp. Now, he stated that he was going to create one large paragraph to debunk all my videos, so I gave him a month and a half, which should be more than enough time for his pea-sized brain to comprehend my arguments and formulate a cohesive counter-argument to all my points. And well, the end result is pretty fucking pathetic if I'm being honest with you. Actually, he barely touched any of my other videos. The only arguments he covered were the two mentioned in the last video. So what happened to your claim there, buddy? Now, if we actually look at this behemoth, only about 33% of it is actually a counter-argument. The other 67% of it is just defending your pathetic simp actions. Now, for the sake of simplicity, this video is going to be split up into two sections, responding to the simp's pathetic efforts to defend his actions and debunking the dipshit's actual arguments in great detail. But with that breakdown aside, let's start with the bullshit. This section contains two comments, the previously mentioned essay and another comment where he boasts on one of my videos. For the sake of keeping things somewhat chronological, we're going to be starting with the essay first.
I decided to make a new comment instead of constantly editing since it's annoying, so here is my full unabridged response to you. You once again failed to make a good video. It honestly is a surprise how enduring you are. Even to look up my Instagram and Twitter, what a trooper. But disproves hentai rating. Made 75 weeks ago, but I forgot, you need to be able to read. Another thing is, you acting like me liking stuff on Twitter and following people is an own and proves I'm a coomer. It doesn't, sir. You can even ask people I know IRL if you want.
Enduring? Surprised? You mean a simple search? You can't seriously be surprised that someone can do a simple search, right? You're the one who gave me all the pieces to the puzzle. Why are you surprised? How oblivious are you to your own actions online? I'm just trying to understand your logic at being impressed, but I mean, considering you're fascinated by some pink-haired anime streamer, I guess that really shouldn't be a surprise. On to your porn defense. Okay, sure, your porn posts were from 75 weeks ago, but this begs the question, why do you still have them on your account? Furthermore, I recently checked your account again and you have another with Bowsette porn and this food one with Calliope's nipple as a cover. Like, why? Did mommy block Pornhub at your house and now the only way you can whack off your little weenie is through your Instagram highlights? Like, seriously, what is the purpose of having porn in the front face of your account? Are your fucking dopamine receptors so fucking shot to the point where in order to feel anything you need to constantly be looking at fucking hentai? Oh, and by the way, I know you're gonna ignore this point. You do this a lot where you'll just gloss over points you don't want to cover, so I want a definite answer this time. You also stated that your Twitter doesn't represent you as a person. Oh yeah, I like to retweet all this fucking porn, but that's not who I really am, lol. Okay, then why the fuck are you retweeting porn in the first place? And you can't just say it's from a long time ago because this shit's recent. Maybe, and here's just a fucking crazy theory, maybe you're just a fucking porn addict. You ever fucking consider that you're just some pathetic basement dweller who just spends all his time masturbating to fucking VTubers and cartoons? You ever fucking consider that, huh? Just fucking retweeting porn over here like a fucking loser. But nah, it doesn't represent you as a person at all. So you're a porn addict online, but in reality you're some fucking Chad or something? Is that what you're trying to say? Cause I did a quick click of your tagged section and did a simple scroll to find this post from someone who you presumably know IRL. And they seem to think you're a porn addict too. You got caught jerking off to midget porn and nutted in front of your mum? You got issues, bro. You didn't even like the post, so I'm inclined to believe this one is actually real. But no, it's just the internet activity. Everyone you know IRL definitely doesn't see you as just some porn-addicted loser. But actually, it does explain a lot about you. If people you know IRL already know you're just that guy who makes porn his personality, then being a simp for virtual women isn't that much of a step up, is it? It still shows how you lack shame and self-awareness, which just feeds into your loser persona.
I'll say this one last time. I comprehend what you said doesn't make it any less bad. You can't even prove me wrong but attacking. The projection is the perfect example. It has been defined as unconsciously taking unwanted emotions or traits you don't like about yourself and attributing them to someone else. You assume I have no time or job or even school when the thought never crossed your mind that I'm writing this when I'm not working or when I'm on break. You can argue it's a waste of time, but still you project what you want me to be, like some other sheep you heard. And you are saying if they were boys you would be fine with that? Both sexist and can't comprehend time. Tragic.
I can't prove you wrong other than attacking? Bro, did you even watch the fucking videos? Whatever. Whatever, it's fine. I'll be sure to go into great detail for part 2 just for your slow ass. Back again with projecting. This really is your go-to argument, isn't it? Yes, I'm attacking you for being a simp and a porn addict. Which of these traits do I carry? I'm not the one defending some pink-haired anime whore. I'm not the one telling my followers to ratio people because I can't fight my own battles. And I'm not the one who loves to infatuate my life with pornographic material. That would be you. A fucking loser who actually gets offended when someone calls out their petty actions online and reveals the truth to them. Wait, hold the fuck up. Did I read this correctly? You have a job and you're in college? Oh my goodness, that's so impressive. Here, have a gold sticker. No wait, actually have two, just because you're such an outstanding citizen. Wow, a job and college. To everyone else, that's just normal life. But to you, wow man, that's so impressive. What's crazy is the severe level of insecurity on this fuck, and I'll get to that in a little bit. Also, I love how you call us sheep when you're the one under the influence of Vtuber simp manipulation. I don't think you understand the term sheep. Sheep just blindly follow the herd. You and millions of other simps are doing the same shit. In this situation, we're not blinded by some facade and just going with the status quo. That's you. So maybe know what your insults mean before you use them, dumbass. Also, I was wondering when you'd throw in the sexist argument. You can't think of an actual argument, so you just label people as bigots. I love it when people do that because they can't explain why, aside from duh, he's targeting women. I'll be sure to explain in great detail why you're incorrect in part 2. And as for male VTubers, I also hate male VTubers. They fall under a different form of manipulation, also known as a parasocial relationship, which, spoiler alert for viewers of my channel, is a topic for a future video. We then get to the meat of the comment, which we'll save for part 2. Now let's keep moving.
Last real point is, you said I don't go after the points with hard evidence. The thing is, besides the Snuffy and Mori, what hard evidence? That I'm a simp and I don't have anything doing based of me commenting? If that's hard proof, then you would not pass law school.
Yeah, that was actually just shitty wording on my part. What I meant to say was you never actually did anything with the evidence. If I remember correctly, in your last response, you just kinda looked at the model argument for Snuffy and pointed out Demon Dice had a career before Calliope. You just kinda glossed over the graphs. Like I said earlier, that's more my fault for not phrasing the sentence correctly. These arguments will be discussed in detail during the second part of the video. And no, you're not a simp because you're just commenting. There are hundreds of people who do that. It's because of your obsession with defending your so-called queen. For one, you left multiple comments across my videos thinking you did some marvelous job owning my points. For two, once I made a response video, you consistently checked it to find people to disprove even if they weren't fully on my side. As in every few minutes or so, you'd keep checking my video to reply to new people who commented. For three, your infatuation with Calliope. You had a Calliope profile picture, Calliope retweets, and a picture of Calliope's nipple on the homepage of your Instagram, which is linked to your personal life. No normal person does that. Can I also assume you have a Calliope body pillow and a tit mouse pad? I'm sure you're a real disappointment to your family. Did I miss anything, or is this just another one of my projections with no actual backing?
I will be surprised if you make this a trilogy. I've now can correctly predict what you can and will try to say, and you will shift points once again.
Okay, how are your predictions working out, dumbass? Wait, actually, I guess I can't say that yet because the VTuber argument comes in the second part of the video, but spoiler alert, your arguments are still fucking abysmal.
And there was some smart guy trying to make the point I got so few likes when I have 1k followers. Well sir, if you talk a glance on my page, you can see I don't post mainstream stuff most of the time, and it's not what I usually post, so that's why. You could see in the same week that I got hundreds of likes, and I wasn't boasting about it. I just mentioned, hey, I don't really care, I have 1k followers. I don't believe bigger number means bigger person.
Then why mention your follower count? Wait, actually, let me answer that for you. It's because you're insecure. You just have to try and convince people on the internet that you're so much better than them because you have 1,000 followers. Oh, and that was definitely boasting, but now that you got called out for it, you have to pull the humble card. No one brings up the amount of followers they have to an unrelated comment just for nothing. What happened was you were getting dogpiled in the replies, so you tried to pull the bigger number is better card as some form of weak flex to better your online image. The funniest part is nobody actually gave a fuck in the comments. Just keep this insecurity in the back of your mind as it'll come up again in a little bit.
I don't know why I am even still on this shit because you haven't done anything but try to witch hunt me and do the same thing you said I do. And yes, I said witch hunt because even though you believe you did something with saying, don't harass him lol, it's just at the end of the day, a thinly disguised excuse people try to make to avoid blame. It doesn't work.
Why are you trying to witch hunt me?
Because you're a faggot, alright?
No, actually, there was never a witch hunt to begin with. That wasn't ever actually my objective, and that's because we have different audiences. Your audience is only in it for your posts, and they don't actually give a fuck about you at all. They're just 15-year-olds who care about your Kangan Ashura manga updates or whatever other gay shit you're posting. Either that or they're just those fucking brain-dead morons who blindly ratio video they probably didn't even watch. Duh, he's a goat, greatest of all time, duh. My audience does not care enough about you to actually hunt you down. If I make a statement saying ratioing people is a petty act, then they get the message that going out of their way to harass you isn't worth their time. Because you, yourself, are worth nothing to them. There is no need for them to stoop to your level of pettiness and bother you because I've already made a public spectacle of your stupidity. You overestimate your importance in the world. They watch the video, throw some shade, and move on in life. A concept which you don't seem to grasp. Comments are fair game though. If you comment on my video, that's enemy territory. You deserve to be dogpiled. Actually, can I say something completely honest right now? I wasn't initially going to include a disclaimer because of the understanding of my audience. The reason I included it in the final product was because a good buddy of mine thought some form of insurance would be smart.
Yeah, I think some form of insurance would be a safe idea.
What the hell are you doing in my house? So here you claim it didn't work, but did anyone actually come target you? I've checked the comments on your post and I don't see a single person hating on you, which means I'm most likely correct about my audience and the shitty insurance I made in the span of 5 seconds probably didn't need to be made in the first place. So how about you quit your self-victimization and learn to fight your battles like a man?
I'm pretty sure that's it. There is no reason to try to disapprove what randoms say because they wouldn't believe me even if I shoved it in their faces. And my Discord is still up for you to talk. Goodbye. Tell me if I missed anything. Edit. If you can't read, don't complain about it. And yes, I have sent my VTubers all my paycheck.
No, they don't believe you because your points suck. When you say shit like you're just trolling or anyone that opposes you is schizophrenic, yeah, no shit, people tend not to believe you. Another thing is you always say that your Discord is up for me to talk, but you never actually posted it. Am I supposed to hunt that down too? Because I probably could. I mean, I wouldn't post my Discord in a YouTube comment section either, but I literally had to search for your Instagram. And judging from your reaction when I did find it, I assume you just say that shit to sound confident when you don't actually want to argue in the first place. You say you're surprised I found your Instagram, but weren't you the one telling me you wanted to argue on Instagram or Discord? Like, something's not adding up here. How am I even supposed to reach you even if I was dumb enough to waste my time talking to you? And to be honest, it's much more fun to put your stupidity on full display rather than just in a private message, which is probably what you would have wanted. The saddest part is I can't even tell if this last one is a joke. I get you're trying to be funny, but the way you're acting online, it honestly wouldn't surprise me if you did spend all your paychecks on VTubers. Some fat nerd living off mommy and daddy's money while he's wasting all his funds on his bitch queen Callio. I can completely see it actually. With that shit out of the way, let's move on to another comment he left on my Emily She/Her video. While looking through your Instagram again, I noticed you have pronouns in your bio. He, him pronouns to be specific. I guess it makes sense that you'd have to clarify that to everyone considering your body produces an abundant amount of estrogen from all those VTubers you're watching. Alright, let's get on to the comment.
And just like I said before, I was right. You literally can't do anything non-VTuber related because 99% sub to you now only care about it. That's why you will make another video about them and so on. It's awe-inspiring how you refuse to make good content.
Yeah, my other content doesn't do as well as my VTuber ones, but 500 views for a channel with 400 subscribers isn't that bad. Yeah, it's fairly low relative to my VTuber videos, but I still see people supporting my content, so I wouldn't call that a flop. I could also use the excuse that that video in particular was age restricted for a while, but it did alright in the end, so I got no complaints. Now here you claim I don't make good content. Yeah, I don't actually know whether or not it's good content. People in the comments can tell you that because I'm not actually too sure if it's good or not. I'm the creator, so in my eyes all my videos have flaws. But they're good enough to be gaining views and subs, so do with that information as you will. Actually, another point I'd like to add. You unironically watch female streamers with an anime avatar play a character for the sake of profit. Now, I never said my content's good, but at least you should acknowledge the dog shit you enjoy watching.
Okay.
6 hours of this shit. 6 fucking hours. I know you complain about me watching clips, but I can't believe you think this is better. I hated watching 5 minutes of this shit. I can't believe there are people brain dead enough to enjoy hours worth of this cancer. And actually, if we wanted to poke fun at content, we could always make fun of your content. Yeah, I wonder why this got 400 likes. I can only imagine. What about this? So thought-provoking. You give such great insight with these captions and reaction images. Oh, you use Reddit? Hey Josh, I got another tally for you. A Coomer and a Redditor. Now ain't that not a surprise? Phenomenal, really.
Oh, by the way, thanks for the shoutout. I gained nearly 200 followers because of that. Apparently, they like someone who actually has a personality besides cheeky white commentator ranting about shit. Who would have thought? Cheers, mate.
We're bringing this back to insecurity in a bit, but first allow me to explain why this statement is actually completely false and how there is no correlation between the two events. Here's an easy question for you. Where are your supporters? Why is my video not dislike bombed into oblivion if 200 people saw my video and loved your argument so much to the point where they actually went out of their way to follow you on Instagram? There should be at least 200 dislikes on this video if that many people hated me and loved you that much. And also, where are the negative comments? I should see at least one comment praising your great points, let alone 200. Furthermore, if we look at your Instagram comments, there is no mention of praising you for your valiant efforts against the serial tyranny. Also, I gained 24 and 25 views on May 20th and May 21st respectively for that video. You gained 93 and 87 followers on the aforementioned dates. So, how did you get more followers than I got views on those 2 days specifically? Yeah, something's not adding up. I just don't get it. But that's okay, because Professor Serial's here to explain this mystery. The Instagram algorithm is a bit funky, so bear with me. You gained those followers through a post which gained traction and showed up on the top of one of the many hashtags you used. This top page allows more people to see said post and will naturally gain more followers in the process. This exposure also brings in a wave of bots. So in conclusion, you got those followers out of your own volition. Congratulations, here's a fucking celebratory dildo you can sit on, you fucking homo. Now why did I just sit there and explain this to you guys? Well, it's because Diamond here was trying to leverage his new growth as some form of win on his part. He's trying to put himself on a pedestal and make it seem like many people actually support his shitty ideologies. Now let's go back to insecurity. If you didn't care about the followers from earlier, why boast about them now? I know why. Ding 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 ding. It's because you're an insecure piece of shit, which means you actually gauge your importance on a fucking digital number. That's absolutely fucking hilarious to me. Please, let's boo this dipfuck for old time's sake.
Everyone, boo this nigga!
But seriously, do you have so little self-worth that you actually determine success by followers? Because that is fucking funny. Not only that, but you tried to skew your growth against me when in reality it had fucking nothing to do with me at all. This really puts into perspective what kind of shallow, pathetic, absolute fucking waste of a human being you actually are. Okay, this is a funny one. They like someone with personality. Personality? Your infatuation with virtual women, your inability to have self-control over your porn addiction, your uninspired Instagram posts, your dog shit counter-arguments, your inability to take criticism, your obsession with your follower count, and your cowardice nature to be unable to fight your own battles. Yeah, you've got such a flourishing personality, I can see why people flock to you. I also noticed you like to pull the race card a few times when you get desperate. Aw, he's white, just a white boy ranting. Yeah, I am white. What the fuck are you gonna do about it? Probably nothing because you're a fucking pussy. I get it, you're probably a little bit racist to white people. I take it a certain woke agenda got into that pinhead of yours. Just know that the race card won't ever work on me because I legitimately don't care. Fuck, that was a lot. If you stuck around this long, I brought you a little gift. Some chocolate milk. I hope you enjoy. Wait, what's that? Oh no, it's Crazy Diamond. He's come to rape your chocolate milk full of simp ideologies and crippling porn addiction. But I won't let that happen. Now come on, we've got another part to get through. For the second part of this video, I've spliced out the meaty section I mentioned earlier and will be deconstructing the actual VTuber arguments. Now I like to point out something interesting. So earlier he mentioned how he's gonna go through each and every one of my videos and debunk all my points, when in reality he only touched the last two arguments from my last video. These being the snuffy argument from indie VTubers are terrible and the Calliope argument from responding to another VTuber fan. So where are the other videos? I have a huge roster of them, so I find it hard to believe that I'd only have 2 arguments out of the 10 fucking videos I have. No, I think the more reasonable explanation is that you just didn't watch my other videos. Either that or you did watch them but realized you couldn't counter-argue any of my points, so just stuck to the 2 bare-bone arguments you thought you had a fighting chance with. Guess we'll never know. Whatever, let's get on with this shit.
Once again, you are making baseless assumptions. And even worse is that you think drawing stuff on a graph is proof. You need actual images of said content being uploaded during that time period to justify why you think. This is the same trap another YouTuber like you feel for when trying to link VTubers to loneliness when the two have barely any correlation. And it also reminds me that you tried to link the big boob model to lewdness, which started 2 years ago almost. Don't you think it's weird how in that video and now this one she only had one lewd model if that was the case? And you can't use clips either for the fact which channel is focused exclusively on that, even for VTubers that never do anything like that on the regular. It would be stupid to ban shit like that from happening once in a while.
No, I drew on the graph to show a legend of where the events occurred on the timeline. But sure, if you want evidence, here's the earliest record I could find of her transition into lewd content.
Okay, so I'm like your older sister, right? And I'm like super sexy and my tits are huge, and you're like my little brother who's so innocent, and you're stressed out, and I'm here to comfort you and nuzzle you into my big bosoms, and I'm just like, oh, it's like, and then if I were to do it in the high pitched voice, I guess it's more like,
The day I find this shit entertaining is the day I put a fucking bullet in my head. Well, there's your clip and date with accordance to my graph. Hope you're happy. Now you think there's no correlation between VTubers and loneliness. Now that is hilarious. Prepare to hear my complete theory as to why VTubers are built on loneliness. If you're a regular viewer of my channel, you've most likely heard these thoughts scattered throughout my many VTuber videos. But I think it's about time I get everything all on record in a single video. So let's get started. In order to understand simp manipulation of VTubers, we're going to have to shift all the way back to the primitive days. Fundamental biology, a concept known as sexual selection, an interspecies competition where males would fight each other over a female they wish to mate with. The winner would obviously be able to pass along their offspring, and the loser would either have to find another female to fight over or become a redditor. Now, if you're confused as to why I brought this up, don't worry, allow me to explain. What I'm illustrating here is that way back in our primitive roots, pussy was something men still fought over. This desire to compete with other men and feed this primal desire to procreate and leave something to continue on your legacy. Fast forward a few millennia and now we're introduced to the concept of prostitution. The concept in which women can sell their bodies to desperate men in exchange for financial gain. Prostitution only even exists in the first place because of our biological roots to sexual selection. Pussy was something that was meant to be quote-unquote earned through hardship, and prostitution basically manipulates this work reward system with the inclusion of currency. It's basically a pay-to-win version of sex if you want to look at it that way. Rather than putting in the effort for sex, you just bypass the work of winning over the heart of a woman and pay for it instead. Hell, sexual selection is even in the works today. The guy who's outgoing and takes care of himself is more likely to get bitches rather than the fat nerd who simps for VTubers, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Fast forward again to the modern era with the introduction of the internet, where everyone's mind is corrupted by pornography and crippling loneliness apparently. We're in an age where men can now get instant gratification through jacking off with easy access to porn, but this will still create a hole in these sad saps. A hole which can't be fixed through just masturbation of depraved material. Enter the introduction of e-girls, cam whores, or whatever you want to call them. Women who manipulate lonely men and give them a sense of love and lust through the exchange of donations and paid subscriptions. They target men who've given up on the dating game and now resort to paying women online to feel any form of affection. This gives certain men the satisfaction to fill that hole, but not everyone is fooled by their schemes, so enter the VTubers. On the surface, a completely innocent concept to allow people to stream without showing their face, but behind the scenes, a ploy to siphon money out of losers who haven't caught on to the scheme. Now, what is the image of your average anime fan? Yeah, that's what I thought. Now, I'm gonna sidetrack a little bit. In the whole sea of neckbeards, there'll be a few motherfuckers who are willing to spend thousands of dollars on their waifus. Whether that be figurines or fucking tit mouse pads, that's exactly what the anime corporations want. You ever wonder why there's an abundant amount of dogshit ecchi anime on the market? It's all about capitalism. They're counting on those few fucks who are willing to cash dump on useless merchandise. A similar concept applies to VTubers. Sure, there's a lot of sad saps who watch that shit, but what they're really vetting on is that 1% who are willing to spend ungodly amounts of money on their overpriced merch. Just keep this in the back of your mind. Now going back to anime fans. There is a problem with this waifu relationship. Your waifu isn't real. It's some cartoon, not a real person. But what if it was possible to make this waifu real? A real-life anime girl who can respond to your donations and interact with you in the chat. Wow, it's every loner's wet dream. Now, how does this correlate to everything mentioned prior? Well, the times have changed, and there are now people who aren't just sex deprived, they're deprived of any female attention. VTubers can fill that void of loneliness regardless of whether sex is involved or not. With the target audience acquired, we can roll in the merchandise. Anything to get these fat fucks closer to their virtual waifu. Figures, sound packs, rubber mats, postcard frames, autographs, t-shirts, dioramas, keychains, body pillows, and tip mouse pads. There are fucking body pillows and tip mouse pads on the official HoloLive store. Fucking body pillows and tit mouse pads. Crazy Diamond, my brother in Christ. Who the fuck do you think buys body pillows and tit mouse pads? You ignored this point in the last video, so I want you to answer me this time. If they weren't targeting loners, why the fuck would they have body pillows and tit mouse pads? Let's move on to the talent. They've created an assortment of different VTubers so they can target every loner on the internet. Each talent is directed to act a certain way to appeal to a certain genre of loner. These range from your closeted pedophile to your average coomer. Their personalities are manufactured from the ground up to appeal to you. And they've got a lot of talents too, just to make sure everyone feels unique about their virtual wife. Like I mentioned earlier, they know there'll be at least a few fucks willing to dump all their paychecks onto their dogshit merch, so might as well keep pumping out the money machine. As scummy as they are, corporations like HoloLive and VShojo are fucking genius if you think about it. It wasn't very cut in stone back then, but I hope that's the correlation you were looking for when comparing VTubers to loners. Now, how does this relate to Snuffy? Snuffy is an independent VTuber. Prior to the Lewdcast, her content was tame and quote-unquote personal, if you want to call it that. Afterwards, she didn't directly transition into sexual content as it was a gradual process. This buffer period gave her time to plot exactly how she could capitalize on the newfound market. Now onto your remark about me being sexist. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Just because I bash women, it doesn't mean I bash them because they are women. The simp industry is dominated by women because of the deep-rooted social factors I explained earlier. Now, one thing I've seen a lot is, it's not all female VTubers, Serial, you're just making an overgeneralization. You're right, it's not all female VTubers. But do you want to know why you don't see any big female VTubers who don't fall into this trap of simp manipulation? It's because they just don't get popular without it. And that's not me being a sexist prick, that's just the nature of the internet. Let's take Kroko Kyoko EN VTuber Crow from our indie VTuber video as an example. She actually deleted her original comment because she most likely saw the irony in her posting it. If you look at her past videos, she started off more grounded in reality, but now look at her. VTuber mommy spits on the mic with her tits out. That's raking in more views and subs than anything grounded. Now, who could have thought exploitation is a profitable medium? Wow, it's almost as if I predicted this. Okay, for this part, I tried my best to decipher it. I really did. But honestly, I have no fucking clue what you're trying to say. If you mean that I don't use clips, I guess you're fucking blind or something, because I've used clips in the past, so I'm not too sure what your point is. Please go back to the second grade and learn how to fucking formulate a cohesive sentence. Actually, while we're on the topic of grammar, let me quickly consult a thesaurus, because I feel like I've said the term loser and porn addict like 50 times in this video. Here's a fun party game. Take a sip every single time I use the term loser or porn addict or anything synonymous to those. Yeah, you'll probably die of kidney failure, but life's too short anyway.
I do go to college and have a job, so you didn't prove it wasn't projection. Most of the arguments are like this.
More projection, more insecurity, yada yada. I'm in supply chain management. See guys, I'm not some dud, you guys, I swear. I have to tell people on the internet how great my life is because deep down I know I'm a shriveled worm of a man who's never accomplished anything with his life. Yeah, I think I've already said this, but nobody fucking cares what you're taking in college. Would you like a third gold sticker for that? What reaction were you expecting from us? Well guys, pack it up. He's an undergraduate for supply chain management. Shit man, he's too smart for us. Guess we've lost the argument. Like you could be a fucking pre-med and I'll still make fun of you for acting like some VTuber obsessed. Like some VTuber obsessed also ran.
I did understand your argument, you just didn't make it convincing. One, because of outside of Social Blade, you didn't know she had already worked with several semi-popular artists. If you said it helped, then sure. This is fake type I'm talking about. Looking view-wise, she was already popular before when she did come into the other role. You don't seem to understand your own argument as you said it helped jumpstart her career, which is factually wrong unless she traveled back in time. Rewatch the video you made before this one, and it didn't prove that it kickstarted her career. Saying it helped a lot, I would have accepted, but it's plain heinous to not look up what I said she did before. Edit, I just got finished with my job and I realized I missed some crucial info. Apparently Demon Dice has been a thing even before she started a YouTube channel, and she was already an animator and runs Top Ham Hatkyo's video department and even worked with Cartoon Network and Disney.
I'm glad my phrasing offended you. It really brings me great joy to see you so worked up over this, but no, you really didn't understand the argument. That's what I said last time, but I guess I have to explain the entire original argument. Let me create a timeline for your reference. The initial argument from the original video explains how Calliope prioritized music making over just VTubing with fan service and that they walk different paths from normal VTubers. My counter-argument was that this was not the case, as Calliope used heavy amounts of fan service and her music was largely popular due to the fact that it was marketed as VTuber music. So the songs were pretty ass, but because it was a popular VTuber who was marketing them, they got exponentially more views. We are here in the timeline. Now I guess it's a good time to correct 2 incorrect statements I made in that video. I said I wasn't sure if she had a music career or not before Calliope. This was incorrect, as she indeed was demonized prior to Calliope, of which I didn't realize because the only statistics I looked at during the time were the Google search analytics. I also said that her music would have gone completely unrecognized as Calliope. This was also false, as she did have a small music career prior to this. Once Calliope was created, her growth as demonized skyrocketed. So now we're here on the timeline. I fixed my little errors. Now back to your argument. You mentioned she helped other artists in the past. As an animator. She worked as an animator, not a musician. Her skills in animation are impressive, I'll give her that. But her skills as a musician fucking blow. That's actually why I wasn't sure if she had a music career prior to Calliope or not, because it was just that fucking bad. She should have just stuck to animation if I'm being completely honest. Now we're here on the timeline. Away from the initial argument, might I add. So now going back to the response. What was your point? That she wasn't jump-started by Calliope? Because that was the purpose of the Social Blade stats. I also have those shitty Google stats too if you want to look at those. I find that your inclusion of her as an animator was pretty pointless. Like, wow, what an achievement, she had a fucking job at Disney, that's crazy. Fucking insane over here for a VTuber to have a real job. Yeah, I have a second aunt who works as an animator for Disney, like who fucking cares? I know your objective is to hype Calliope up and say she's accomplished a lot prior to Calliope, but this doesn't really help the music career argument because you're not arguing in the correct part of the timeline. You're arguing way back here where there's no relevance to the initial argument. Yeah, she worked as an animator, a job that she got paid to work. It's not the same as her slow-burning Demon Dice career magically rising to popularity after a certain VTuber debuts. She had very slow growth on her Demon Dice channel through the couple of years prior to Calliope. And then suddenly as Calliope launches, she skyrockets. It's almost as if her Demon Dice career was kickstarted by Calliope. Must just be a crazy coincidence and her amazing talents as a musician.
This is my bigger issue with you keep having to clarify stuff over and over in efforts to say it completely differently. Look further on the evolution on your point on Snuffy. It involves going from she changed her model to gain more attraction, this was proven wrong as she does it often and was still on rise before, to it's because of Lewdcast to she changed to lewd content. Which again is clip watching, and funny you tried to use the pony one as proof when it was just a Coom jar joke. I addressed Lewdcast earlier.
No, I tend to repeat stuff a lot because you choose not to fucking listen. And yeah, my theory can change when I research a VTuber more. It's a pretty common phenomenon when new information is brought up. But there is a difference between the two videos. The initial video was meant to illustrate how an indie VTuber can use sex to manipulate horny people for views. The second video was specifically about Snuffy, so I actually had to dig up the point where she shifted her content style. They're different videos with different objectives. One's meant to show how an indie VTuber manipulates sex, and the other was a counter-argument against said VTuber. One shows how an indie VTuber is willing to change her model to become sexual to appeal to her perverted audience, and one is specifically pointing out where and what point on the timeline motivated her to change her content style. Furthermore, why in the fuck would she need such a sexual model in the first place if her target audience wasn't individuals with hypersexual disorder? Why would she feel the need to create a model of such caliber in the first place? And yeah, we get to the cum jar. A VTuber who creates a custom avatar of herself inside a cum jar and makes sexual remarks of said model. Is it part done for comedic effect? Probably, but it doesn't disprove this shift in sexual content, does it?
What's wrong, Master? Afraid to give your pony some cummies?
Fuck, that was a long video. Now that we've gotten through the entirety of your bullshit, I will make a few predictions on your next move. A. You will proceed to waste your time making an even bigger comment responding to everything, of which I will either just not read it or make a follow-up video. Guess it's best we leave it ambiguous. On top of that, you'll throw another hissy fit on your Instagram and say my videos is shit. Yeah, nice grammar, moron. B. You will make a short comment saying some bullshit like, oh, it was just bait, or some dumb shit you like to do to avoid taking responsibility for your actions, and also throwing a hissy fit on your Instagram. C. You will do the same thing as B, but only complain on your Instagram without commenting on the video. And D. Another decision we have yet to predict. Place your bets. I guess the only way to really tell is to check the comments down below. A quick thought I want to add before closing remarks. Will simps like Crazy Diamond change through my videos? Probably not. The only way he'll probably learn is through crashing and burning through the choice of his own dumbass actions. I don't overtly care whether or not Simp number 635 changes his ways or not. But you bet your ass as long as there's dipshits like him on the internet, I'm gonna keep making videos on them. I do this for fun after all. You think YouTube's gonna monetize any of my videos? Fuck no. Anyways, if you watched up to this point, might as well fucking subscribe. And to my second account too. Unless you're Crazy Diamond, in which case please seek therapy or kill yourself. Either one of those options would do numbers on the world. Alright, jokes aside, I hope you enjoyed. If you want to see me bully more VTuber simps, then let me know down below. Contrary to what people may believe, these are actually one of my favorite style of videos to make. Well, with that bullshit out of the way, if you're still watching and not subscribed, I'm gonna find out where you live and beat you to death with a fucking pineapple pizza, motherfuckers.